Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, obviously give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, why not hit that subscribe button? And last, but by no means least, why not drop a comment down below? Whether you're just stopping by to say hello, whether you want to comment on your favourite colour scheme for an army or your favourite paint range or anything like that, it all is really, really cool. I super love reading your guys' comments. It goes a long way to helping out the channel, all that good stuff. Yeah, why not do it? It's super fun to interact with you guys and find out what you guys are thinking and what you guys love about the magazines, what you love about the hobby in general. And what you don't like and everything like that. It's super cool, super interesting, and yeah, it makes the channel more like a community, which is yeah, always good to have a bit of community. Anywho, it's time to have a crack at this week's magazine. So issue number 18 of good old Spearhead magazine is part 1 of 2 of our Seraphon Croxigores. So this week we get 2 sprues. Next week obviously we'll get the final sprue and the bases. Croxigores are super cool. I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love Croxigores. They're one of the units that I've always wanted to get my hands on. Never got round to it because I'm kind of always very kind of do I want to go for this, do I want to not do this, and very lose interest, and I'll become very indecisive and everything like that. So I am super thrilled to get these bad boys because they're really cool. I do really love Croxigore. So you get 2 variations of Croxigore that can be built with each sprue. You can build regular Croxigores or you can build Warspawn Croxigores. The Spearhead War Scroll only gives you the regular stats. I can't remember if there are some slight changes to the Warspawned ones, but you can kind of really tell the difference by the difference in heads. So there are 2 different types of head for each Croxigore. There is the more crocodilian style head, which is pretty damn cool, and my favourite by far. Or there is the more Saurus-like head. The more crocodilian head is, if I remember rightly, meant to be the Warspawned Croxigores. Warspawned Croxigores are spawned for war. Can't really say anything other than that. They are designed for war. They are mostly capable of war, whereas regular Croxigores, while they have very good fighting instincts, they are more destined to be a bit of everything. So they will focus here, there and everywhere. They can do the regular kind of labouring work for the old ones, and they can also go to war when needed. But yeah, really, really cool. And there's a couple of weapon options based on the idea of war spawned and everything like that. So I'm not going to lie, I am really, really looking forward to building these chappies. I am going to wait until next week when we get the 3rd one. And we've got the bases. And you'll find that you've got little fronds of fern and grass and everything like that that can be added to your base to kind of spruce it up a little bit better and everything like that as well. So really, really cool. Super great minis. Seraphon, one of my favourite ranges, and these bad boys are by no means they are probably my favourite of all of them. Anyway, moving on. Going into the magazine, we are first greeted actually by Stormcast Eternal Lore. So we get more information about the Angelos Conclaves. Angelos Conclaves are central to the Warrior and Exemplar chambers, where they use their manoeuvrability to scout ahead of the main force. They are ideally suited to reconnaissance and strike operations, but are also highly valued as specialist fast strike operators who can bring their prodigious skills to larger pitched battles. The Angelos Conclaves are specialist scouts and advanced troops who are ideally suited to working ahead of the main force. On some missions, they form a core part of an elite strike team working behind enemy lines in a small but vital area. On other missions, they gather intelligence and mark the path ahead. In others still, they form the first wave attack, breaking the enemy in advance of the main force. So you get a little bit more information about the Angelus Conclaves. Angelus Conclaves include things like the Knight Judicator, as seen here, with his 2 Gryph-hounds, which are pretty damn cool. And we got that with Stormbringer magazine, and I can't remember if I actually painted mine up. We also get things like Stormstrike Paladors. I haven't had any of them before, but they are really cool. So they are kind of mounted. Good old Stormcast Eternals, which are pretty damn cool. And they are very kind of central to the warrior chambers. They are armed with and equipped to form massed charges that obliterate enemy resistance, so they can smash straight into it like a full-blown cavalry charge, which is pretty damn cool. We have a Stormstrike Chariot. We did get one of these with good old Stormbringer magazine. I definitely haven't painted that up. But really, really cool. I say really cool. I must admit, I'm not a big fan of chariots. I don't care for them that much. I think they look all right, but I would prefer something slightly different. I think the Stormstrike Chariot's okay. However, I personally would prefer something different in its place. It looks nice. But it's not for me. It's not really my type of thing. Now, the Stormstrike Chariot, the good thing with this kit was you could build 2 variations. So you could have the one with a bow, or you could have it with a spear, if I remember rightly. And if I've remembered wrongly, I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments. Anyway, they are pretty nice, and I think I'm very much kind of like, if you're building a Stormcast Eternal army and you want to be a good range of units, so you want to have a good mixture of fast strike and everything like that. Your fast strike, you definitely want a couple of the Stormstrike Chariots, maybe some Paladors in place of the Stormstrike Chariots. And you will definitely want some Prosecutors, because Prosecutors are very cool. One of the Prosecutors, the old style Prosecutors, were brilliant. These Prosecutors are fantastic as well. So, very, very good. Obviously flying, and they are fast attack. And obviously because they are not on the ground, they have that little bit of ability that kind of makes them a bit more cooler. They look nicer, and they perform far better, in my opinion. So, yeah, if you're building up a good army, definitely make sure you got a bunch of Prosecutors in there. Then moving on, we get some more Seraphon lore, the secrets of the Old Ones. The Old Ones are the gods of the Seraphon and the designers of the Great Plan. During the First War against Chaos, they vanished and are now worshipped in their absence. Their departure has done nothing to slow the Seraphon's resolve, and they remain determined to carry out the Old One's will. The true nature of the Old Ones is lost to the eons. For many thousands of years, all knowledge of them has been hidden, and even the Slann can no longer recall their masters. They are worshipped as a pantheon of gods, but the aspects that are venerated by the Seraphon may only be cloaked in representations of their true forms, such as their knowledge and craft, that many of the relics they left behind are still barely understood. So the Old Ones being very, very unusual, and they are obviously, the Seraphon are designed to be completely against chaos, and the Old One's will was very much kind of part of the fight back against chaos. Now, if you go back to good old Warhammer Fantasy Battles, the Old Ones was kind of a story that had this kind of web way linking different portals here, there and everywhere, and different gates. So including things like the polar gates and stuff like that that were mentioned in there. If you read through, I believe it is Giant Slayer, if I remember rightly, the Gotrek and Felix novel. They travel through one of these passages. They kind of get pushed into it or dragged into it and separated from Max Schreiber and Snorri Nosebiter. And they encounter Teclis within these paths of the Old Ones. And yeah, it transports them to the very mist-shrouded, very separate and kind of isolated island of Albion, where they get to fight a chaos ravaged giant and stuff like that, which is pretty cool, and definitely one of the most fun stories. I'm not gonna lie, it's one of my favourites as well. And you get a little bit more information about the old ones and how these paths were created, and the idea that the world was kind of shaped by the old ones and all that type of stuff. So it's pretty interesting. Moving on from there, anyway, we should really move on from there, shouldn't we? Vessels of the gods. None know the history of the temple ships for certain. Perhaps not even the Slan. But they have sailed the void for millennia in service of the will of the old ones. Though guided through the stars by legions of skinks and commanded by the Slan, many of them seem to possess a will of their own, and its ancient technology remains entirely mysterious to even the wisest and most diligent of scholars. And you also get a little bit more information about the battles in the realms and everything like that, and you get some nice good old imagery of some of the other Seraphon units you can get your hands on, which I must admit I really like some of them. So things you got things like the solar engine, you got the engine of the gods and stuff like that. You got like a very much an Ankylosaurus style kind of unit. If I remember right, it's called a Bastillodon. You've got the very much Triceratops looking dino kind of creature. You've got the Carnosaur and Troglodon. You've got pterodactyl looking creatures, and ones that look a bit more like Dimorphodon and stuff like that. And then you've got a Dimetrodon style looking creature. I can't remember what it's called, but they are really, really cool. And I must admit, any dinosaur fan, that is your real army. The Seraphon are the perfect army for anybody who loves Jurassic Park. Which, includes me. Anyway, we should really carry on with this, shouldn't we? So we get our build guide for our Crocscores. So obviously there are quite a few parts to put together. So you will have some choices of which bits go with which unit and everything like that. So you have things like the club heads and stuff like that. And away you go. So have a bit of fun with it. Enjoy building it. You can build them up a bit like that if you wanted to. You can build them up in a myriad of different ways. I'm not going to lie, I really, really do like the Crocscores. I think they're brilliant. So you've got quite a lot to go with. There are quite a lot of parts. So there's a lot more parts to these chappies than there is to the good old Saurus Warriors. And obviously, there are far more parts than there were for the Skaven or the Stormcast Eternals. So, if you're new to the hobby, definitely take your time. Do not rush through all of this, because if you rush through it all, that's where mistakes can happen. Take your time, follow the instructions, and you will build them up absolutely perfectly. I'm absolutely sure of it. Just, sanding sticks are your friend. Carrying on from there, obviously you build up all three of them. You will have some little bits and pieces that you may be able to decorate the bases with and everything like that as well. So if you're following the guide, you are going to build them with their very much their Saurus style head and not their crocodilian head. I'm going to be a pain in the backside. I'm probably going to go with the crocodilian style head, or as much as I possibly can. Because I like to be awkward. But yeah, really, really cool. Once you're done, you're going to have something that looks like that. And yeah, perfect. If you want to make these kind of jungle bases and everything like that, try and get yourself some 3D printed or cast grass tufts that can look like longer grass and ferns and everything like that, because it'll make that look really, really cool. And you can have this really nice jungle-y style effect on your base. Anyway, moving on, we get some more of our basics for our rules. So obviously going back over what we've learned before, all to do with things like mortal damage and ward saves, we are going to learn about how to utilize reinforcements as well. So reinforcements can be very, very important. So if you have that symbol, that means they can be utilized with reinforcements. So reinforcements can bolster your forces, as you battle, which is pretty damn cool. So reinforcement units do appear for Stormcast Eternal, Cities of Sigmar, Lumineth Realm Lords, Ideneth, Deepkin, Lilveneth, Skaven, and Gloomspite Gits, more than any others, although there are other reinforcement styles as well later on. So, utilising your reinforcements, all detailed down here, and you get a nice little battle to utilise to learn how to use your reinforcements and when to use them as well. So, super cool, super handy to have. Reinforcements are going to be sometimes an absolute godsend in helping you win your battles and stuff like that, and win victory over everyone. And yeah, you get to have a bit of fun with it. So should be really, really good fun, and a pretty cool little battle to kind of help teach you the ways of utilising reinforcements in your armies. Moving on from there, obviously we already know what's coming next week because it's part 2 of 2 for our Croc Schools. So it'll be the other sprue and the bases for our Croc Schools. We'll get information about Slan. We'll also get our paint guide for the Croc Schools as well, which will be pretty cool. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, Croc Schools, brilliant unit. Absolutely fantastic. 10 out of 10, no notes. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. I am going to put on a fan because it is 32 degrees and it is very warm and horrible in my house at the moment. So, yeah, enjoy the sunshine. Obviously, if you are spray painting, this is not your ideal painting range. Up to 25 degrees is normally the best for it. At the moment, a bit too warm. But either way, enjoy yourself. Just, make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids. That's it. See you next time. Bye-bye now.